Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Shoot and Stiff Wrestling Podcast. I'll take this opportunity and say thank you, our fans and our followers and supporters from all over the world for showing that love. So, without further ado, let's start this episode number 8. This is a very special episode, very important episode, and I'm one of your co-hosts, a million Venetian international superstar and independent professional wrestler from Atlanta, Georgia, and this is my co-host,
C-Dub from the woods once again with the goods. Got that raised can energy. Oh yeah, top notch. This is a secret flavor right now. I'm testing it out. I'll let you know how I like it.
C-Dub, I see the T-shirt. You have that amazing T-shirt. So, what is the story behind that T-shirt? And what do you got to do with that?
Something to do with our guests we got on for today. That's what I want to say.
Oh, so you're wearing that T-shirt for the guests. Okay, so without further ado, can you do the honor, Mr. C-Dub, about this guest?
You guys got me back here?
Yes, sir.
Hey,
all right, sorry about that, man. I hit the thing.
He can dig it.
Here we go.
Macho Man in the house. The Macho
like your style.
Man.
You raided my closet. I like your style.
Yeah.
Let me just adjust this so you guys can get a good glimpse. There we go, right there. Yeah, everything here, everything. Intercontinental title, everything's good. Everything's happy now. Good.
That's it. That's it right there. Yeah.
So,
where are you from, brother? This guy's got an accent of some kind.
I'm from Fitzgerald, Georgia. But I live in Warner Robins.
Where's that?
It's south of Atlanta.
And
all right, so you guys are both in Atlanta, like near in the Georgia area there, huh? I didn't even know where the hell you guys were.
Well, I'm from Marietta, Georgia, and he's from Warner Robins, and it's like an hour or two from away. I don't know.
Well, oh, big damn, though.
All right, so before we start this, I want to share two quick story, and I want to see if that surprised you, Macho Man. So, first time I got an opportunity to wrestle in Texas style wrestling, Rodney Mack and Jazz's promotion in Dallas, Texas, Addison, Texas. So I was in the locker room, and Teddy Long comes to the locker room. Hey, player, look at this, look at this guy. And he was very excited. And it was like, this guy talks like Randy. This guy acts like Randy. Everything looks like Randy. And I was like, who is he talking about? And he shows me his phone. And he was like, look at this, player. Have you ever seen him? He looks like he's the real son of Randy the Macho Man Savage. And Teddy Long was so excited. And I was like, yeah, Randy, I know him. Yeah, he's one of the coolest brother. So that's the first time I ever seen a WWE Hall of Famer happy and excited like a little kid. And second experience, I was doing extra work for WWE SmackDown, and I was eating catering in the corner. MVP and Bobby Lashley came there. We were talking about something, and MVP was like, look at this, man. When you're talking about, giving your heart to this business, you got to look like this guy. And MVP showed me your video. Said, look at this. He acts like Randy. He walks like Randy. And I was like, I don't even think this guy even knows that he's so over in the WWE locker room.
Man, you know what?
Yeah.
That is awesome, man. I am so glad that you just told me that, because sometimes I doubt whether or not I should be doing this on the level that I'm doing it, where I'm trying to get it to be something, I'm trying to make some good money at it. I'm trying to get, worldwide known, this is the guy that does it. Because there's a lot of guys out there that do, cosplay type of stuff.
Yeah.
I ain't no cosplayer, you know what I'm saying? I'm the real deal, man. I'm an impersonator. And I'll take it one step further and say that I'm not an impersonator. I'm a tribute entertainer. Just like you see my boy that lives out here, he's a Michael Jackson impersonator / tribute performer. Santana Jackson.
Yeah.
He's the man when it comes to Michael Jackson impersonators. He performs in the show. He's the real deal. When it comes to people being an impersonator of Randy Savage, I don't want there to be no other name except for Macho Man.
Yes,
but I had no idea that I was that over it. Now, just to piggyback off of the Teddy Long thing, I'm going to tell you this. Teddy Long contacted me. Okay, I don't know if you know this story. If it was before or after this, but it had to have been right around that time. Teddy Long messaged me, right, and he's saying, "Player, give me a number. I want to call you." Right? He wanted to talk to me. And you know how it is, man. I was in the business for 15 years. Okay, under Vic Divine, I was a wrestler for 15 years, so I'm very, very hip to the business. You know what I mean? How much he was ribbing and shit like that, and just being a little paranoid when it comes to who's real, who's fake, who's like. I didn't even believe that it was him. I looked at the profile; it looked like his profile and everything else, right? Yeah. So he's telling me to call him, right? And I'm like, I'm not going to call you, dude. Then you'll have my number. I don't want you having my number. I don't know who you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, he calls me up on Messenger on the phone thing, and I could hear his voice. And I'm still paranoid because I'm going, how do I know you're not just a really good impersonator of Teddy Long?
Yeah.
And he starts getting hot. And he's like, all right, brother, you know what, man? I'm trying to help you out, man. I'm trying to get you some work and everything. And then I'm like, I better shut the fuck up a minute here, man. Listen to this guy. And then I'm like, then we started chatting, and he started putting me over, and he started telling me stories about Randy because they know each other from way back and everything. And I was like blown away that he actually was calling me up and wanted to, talk to me about helping me out, helping me to get some work, and putting me over to the boys. And I guess he did, man. Unbelievable. I guess I am that good.
You are, brother. And also, I don't even know if you know this, even in the WWE locker room, especially MVP, he knew Randy personally too. So,
did he?
Yeah. I mean, they used to, I believe MVP had some interactions with Randy, and he showed me some pictures too when we were talking. Yeah.
I thought MVP was...
around 1999, 2000 time. Yeah.
Okay, so
he's from Florida too, right? MVP.
Yeah, he's from Miami, Florida. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So maybe because I know that's where Randy was living in Tampa area. So maybe I'd like to know how they got acquainted with each other because two totally different time periods and eras. I don't think they ever worked together. I think there's a. Now MVP, I actually know, I don't know if he knows this, but if you ever see him, let him know that I know MVP because I was down at OVW.
Yeah.
At the time that he was just coming up, I think he was already up on the road, but he was still going back and forth.
2006, 2007 time. Yeah. I think this is that time. He got there from Deep South no, I think, he got called.
Right, because they were trading talent back and forth.
Yep. And
so I don't even know if MVP knows that the Motch character is a guy that he actually knows. I don't know if he knows Vic Divine. I don't know if he remembers, me seeing him at the Louisville Athletic Club and, saying what's up to him and, chatting with him and, just.
Absolutely. If I ever get a chance to go back, I'll definitely let him know that. And also another person that I had a great contact when I used to live in Indianapolis, Indiana. He was my neighbor, Rip Rogers. And I even did a podcast with him, 2-3 hours of podcast. He told me so much about Randy, so much. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Rip was my teacher down at OVW. You know what I mean? So it's like, here I am. I'm being trained by a guy who Randy Savage trained. Yeah. Because Randy and Angelo and Lanny, they trained Rip. Rip didn't know anything. Yeah. He learned everything from, being in those cars and, taking those long those drives and talking in the locker room and working,
working
that's
with
how they learned back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So C-Dub.
Yeah, how long have you been paying tribute to Macho Man? How did that come about, and when did it start?
All right, here's the deal. About it was like I think it was over 3 years already, man. Time goes by really fast, but here's what happened. I went to a Halloween party, and I didn't even have the whole Motch thing. The Macho Man wasn't even invented yet. That was something that came later on. I was basically just me, as I put together a Macho Man costume. I had these glasses that I actually like, because I didn't have these glasses. I had these cheesy things. They were huge black glasses that I painted white around. And I made my own, makeshift Macho Man. I had a shirt. It was like, wasn't this one? It was another one. It was like real raggedy old, but I was like, all right, I'm going to be Macho Man for this, for Halloween, for this Halloween party. And what ended up happening was we went to this Halloween party. My friend Sarah was in town, and she came to the party with me, and she needed a new suitcase. And she was like, "You mind if we stop off at Walmart on the way back after this party?" So the party was kind of lame, and we left, and we went to Walmart. Now I'm in gimmick. She's dressed like just like as some 80s chick. She just kind of put together this, because she wasn't even planning on going to the party. She just ripped up a pair of her jeans and stuff like that, and let's make another makeshift costume, whatever. So we're at Walmart, and I've never been one to make videos before. I've never done, I hate social media with a passion, right? And
Believe me.
it drives me up the wall. And as you can see, I have a hard time getting on Zoom, because it always ends up, doing something that ain't supposed to do. But I told her, I said, here, I said, Sarah, just record this. I got an idea, because we passed by the toy aisle. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen the video that I have up on social media all over the place of me in Walmart. That wasn't planned. That was something that was like, just spur of the moment. I'm in gimmick. I didn't get dressed to go to Walmart. I didn't get dressed to make this video. We were coming from a Halloween party, and I told her, shoot this video. Now, I held on to that video for a little while. I got a few chuckles out of it. You know what I mean? She laughed, and, we just, whatever. I decided, you know what? I'm going to throw it up on my Facebook, whatever. Didn't think nothing of it. Next thing you know, I'm getting calls from people telling me that I'm going viral, and this Macho Man video that I posted up is all over the place, and it's like run wild all over, and I'm like, what? I don't even know what viral means, man. What are you talking about? I mean, I'm like, then I stop into the nutrition store that I used to work at, and the guy that was my boss, he says to me, "Bro, you're like internet famous right now, brother. You know that?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "That video you put up." And I just keep on hearing about this video. And I'm like, dude, I didn't even think anything of this video, So he shows me, he's like, "Look, man, you're on this wrestling page and that wrestling page and this and that." And it's like, look at how many views you got. Look, there's like, 10,000, 10 million, whatever. I'm like, oh,
wow.
I was like, this many people saw my thing. And then it was my old boss that says to me, he goes, "Bro, you are so good at what you do with this Macho Man impersonation thing." He goes, "And you live in Las Vegas. What are you doing not trying to monetize this? You could be making some money." And all of a sudden this light bulb went off, and I was like, man, you know what? That's it, man. That's the calling that I've been looking for, because after wrestling, I was lost. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. That's all that I ever wanted, and then I couldn't do it anymore. I got old and beat up, and my back is all messed up with spinal stenosis and all that kind of fun stuff that you guys will, learn about later on. But next thing you know, man, I'm getting business cards made up, and I'm getting, 8x10s made up, and I'm sending stuff out and trying to teach myself the social media thing as best as I can. You know what I mean? And, man, it was like, next thing you know, I'm getting called to do weddings. I'm getting called to do conventions, and that's how it happened, man. It happened kind of like it wasn't planned. It just kind of happened. And I just when I heard my old boss say to me, man, why are you, and he's more than just my old boss. He was like a friend. He was like, we worked together. We were, cool. And he was like, when he said that, man, the light bulb just went off. And I was just like, I can, if anybody could make money with this, it's me. And I have.
Was this the one with the crib with the ducks or chicks in it?
Yeah, same day. That was my first we did the one with the toys, and then I said, now I got all excited, and I'm like, wait a minute, I got this other idea as long as we're here. And I saw this crib full of, little duckies. So all of a sudden I just thought in my head, crib full of chicks, crib, chicks, kind of a double meaning. And
that's his thing, right?
That's funny, but that one got some views though, man. People enjoyed the chicks, little chickadees.
I have a question for you. So, when you met Lanny, and what was his reaction when he saw you for the first time?
Well, here's the deal. I never met Lanny in person.
As
much. I met him when I was like 10 years old outside of Westchester County Center watching wrestling. But I had a podcast that I had him as a guest on. And
I saw that.
Yeah. I mean, you want to talk about being, being put over, and the endorsement of a lifetime is having him on video saying that, number one, Randy would have loved you. He would have loved to do, how you portray him. And if there's ever to be a Macho Man movie made, I want you to play him. And if I have any say in it, that's what's going to happen. That's what he said. And you heard it because it was on my podcast, and I have that video, man. That's huge. You know what I mean?
Can get better than this, man. And I'll say this publicly right now. When what is that TV show, Young Rock?
Right.
And this is me, Tamilian Winnies. This is my personal opinion. When I saw Macho Man, I apologize and I respect you, but at the same time, I apologize for the language that I'm using right now. It was fucking terrible. The guy who played that character, it looked so fucking awful, and I didn't like it. And again, listen, I don't know the whole backstory, how they cast people. The closest they ever could get that was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Somehow it was good, but apart from that, majority of the characters looked awful, especially Macho Man was terrible.
Right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to agree that they could have done a better job. The guy's name is Kevin Makeley. I'm going to just, he's an actor, and he has some credits.
Don't hate me.
What's that?
I was saying, sorry, Kevin, don't hate me.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Listen, man, they were looking for an actor to portray somebody, not somebody to actually play him. You know what I mean? If they were going to do a movie about Randy Savage's life, they were going to do a biopic, they would concentrate more on the likeness.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And a lot of times they don't want somebody, remember the show was about The Rock.
Yeah.
All of the kids that played The Rock from when he was a little kid to when he was in college to now, they did a very good job casting. There's a reason for that. You know what I mean? They don't necessarily want people talking about, when they talk about the show Young Rock, they don't want people saying, oh my God, did you see the guy that was, played Randy Savage? It looked just like him. That's taking focus off of the show, off of The Rock. So sometimes they actually do that on purpose. And, but I do believe that they didn't know of me at that time. I don't think, when they casted that, when they shot that stuff with him, I don't think that Macho Man was doing the thing yet. So there'll be projects made. There'll be a biopic. There'll be, some type of documentary or something like that. And I'll get the call, man, because, my name is starting to get out there and people are going to see, I did a movie pretty recently.
I was about to ask.
With Paula Abdul. It's a movie that, I don't want to tell you, what it's about and blah, blah, blah. But they
Yeah.
the character was an Abraham Lincoln / Randy Savage character. Very off the wall. I mean, you can't put those two together. I did. Those guys, they found me and they knew that I was the guy for the job. And, once that comes out and everything, people will see how I portrayed, it's me doing Motch, but it's me being, portraying it in a different way. It was kind of, it was a little tricky trying to be Motch, but trying to say things that Abraham Lincoln would say, things that Motch would never say, you know what I mean? And then putting it together and making it believable. But, but I think once that comes out, anybody who's watching, anybody who's doing any type of a project that, where they're going to be, need somebody to portray Randy Savage, there's only going to be one person, and there will be a biopic made. And if I had the money to, to get it started, you know what I mean? I got people that are, in the business. I know producers and directors and casting people and all this stuff. And if I had the funding that it takes to make a movie or to make a biopic or to make a biography, it would be made and I would star in it. I would star in it and I would write it because I know so much about his life. You know what I mean? From the people that I know, like Rip and people that, and Lanny and, I'm friends with Randy's ex-girlfriend that I just happened to meet her on Facebook. She just, she knew him when he was wrestling. I think even before ICW. So they were dating way before Elizabeth was ever even before he ever even met her.
Wow, man, and it's just very fascinating. C-Dub.
Yeah. While you're paying tribute and everything to Macho Man, do you ever have to fight the urge to climb up on something and drop the elbow?
I do not, man. Probably because of my back injury being what it is. If I was still able to wrestle, and I get asked a lot of times too, I'll get people hitting me up and inquiring about bookings, and they're like, "Hey, can you do a wrestling show?" So I could do a wrestling show as long as there ain't no wrestling. You know what I mean? You want me to MC or manage, or I'm not taking any bumps. I can't. One bump I could be done with, like wheelchair done with. If I wasn't physically, in such bad shape, like I look the part on the outside. I look like I could go, but I'm real beat up. If I was able to still wrestle, I think I would wrestle as Macho Man. And I wouldn't even wrestle as Vic Divine anymore. I would just do gimmick matches and do all his signature stuff and entertain the hell out of the crowd. And like I mentioned before, again, my boy Santana Jackson, if you don't know who he is, he's also a professional wrestler. And he wrestles as Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And he incorporates his moves. You guys have to know who he is.
Yeah, right. I know that moonwalk DDT does.
Exactly. See, everybody knows who he is. You know what I mean? So that's what I would do. And I even told him if I was able to have one more match, if I could get one more match out of myself, I'd want it to be with him. And it'd just be like a total gimmick match, all for entertainment. Nobody's really bumping. Nobody's in there like trying to have a 5-star match. We're just doing our signature stuff. And just know that I don't care who wrestles on that show, that they're not going to see anything as entertaining as that, and it's just unfortunate that I can't do it. I would love to be able to say yes.
And I know Black Machismo, Jay Lethal used to wrestle and pay tribute to Randy from 2004 to around 2009.
Right.
I know I used to do a lot of things in the ring. So there's a lot of people out there watching around the world. They have a lot of questions, I'm sure. Well, one of these questions that they have, you already answered for it. But at the same time, you're not just any impersonator. You used to wrestle. You went to a wrestling school. You trained to be a pro wrestler. You took bumps.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't know that, and I want them all to know that, because I don't want anybody to think that I'm just some mark. You know, if I'm in a locker room at a show, or I'm at a convention, and I'm set up at a table, I want people to know that, you know, I'm not just some fanboy who happens to look the part when I put the gimmick on. That I've lived that lifestyle, and I lived it for 15 years. And because of it, I'm not able to do it anymore. I still have a great passion for professional wrestling, the industry, not so much for what it's turned into in the way that it is. And I don't watch it anymore. I can't really call myself a fan of it anymore. But I would definitely love for everybody to know that I'm not just some guy that, like, you know, that is built like a wrestler, and that just happens to do a good impression of a wrestler. I've been down every road that everybody else has been down. You know what I mean? I've moved my whole life. I'm originally from New York. I moved my whole life from New York, hopped in a car, drove down to Louisville, Kentucky on my own dime, trained down there with Rip Rogers and Al Snow. And, you know, I wasn't paid to be there, man. I wasn't under contract. Like, I was training with the developmental guys.
Like Randy Dupree.
Right. He was down there when I was down there.
Yeah.
You know, but I had to make my own living. Also, I had to be there. I had to find the time to train in Al's class and in Rip's class, because I wanted all the training I could possibly get.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, and I was, you know, but I was working a regular job. I wasn't getting paid. So, you know, here I am in the ring with these developmental guys, and I'm learning from them. And it's great, because I've had matches with guys. Like I had a match with CM Punk. He was the OVW champion. I had an OVW title match with CM Punk. And, you know, but I wasn't under contract. I was basically, you know, paying my own way. You know what I mean? I was paying to be trained down there. I was, you know, going to work, and I had jobs where I was working at like 5 o'clock in the morning in some loading dock, you know, from like 5 to 11 or something like that, so that I could take Rip's afternoon class. And yeah, it was, believe me, I've probably done a lot more than a lot of other guys have done. So if anybody ever just looks at me as some goof in a costume, man, they really need to know the deal.
When was your last match or last wrestling match?
I think actually a memory popped up on my Facebook just the other day. There was a gimmick battle royal, and I think it was like a Halloween thing or something like that. And it was 3 years ago for FSW out here in Las Vegas, which is where I am. And I believe that was the very last time that I did anything in the ring. And all I had to do was toss somebody out, and then they toss. I took my own bump, you know what I mean? It was probably the worst looking over the top, you know what I mean? It was like he, you know, kind of just made it look like he, you know, flung me, and I just kind of like went over as carefully as I possibly can. Yeah. And I was like, see, I don't want to be that guy that looks like I don't have any right being in the ring.
So before C-Dub asks you another, I just have to ask you one more question. So take me through your injury. So, you know, we all professional wrestlers, I fractured my skull in the middle of the ring back in 2016. It took almost two years of my life. I had a lot of concussions and a lot of injuries. So take me through your process, how it happened.
Well, it wasn't one of those things. It's a degenerative type of thing. Spinal stenosis is basically what had happened over the years, and I didn't even know that it was happening. You know what I mean? I felt fine. I wasn't gonna, you know, I mean, I knew that I had herniated discs early in my career, you know, but everybody does. You take one bump, you're gonna herniate a disc. It was like, okay, you know what? You know, you have injuries, and you work through them, whatever. The spinal stenosis is something that happens over time. It's basically the way it was explained to me is what spinal stenosis is arthritis of the spinal column where the nerves run through. So basically what ended up happening was there's a hole and all the nerves are coming through. And the next thing you know, it was just compressed. And I couldn't walk. I mean, legit, like I thought that I was going to be in a wheelchair the rest of my life. And it kind of happened suddenly. It actually happened. It didn't happen while I was wrestling. I was actually working a shoot job, working for Grubhub, and I was delivering food. And believe it or not, the doctors told me that that's what did it. The constant sitting and standing, sitting and standing for 8 hours a day. Cause I was doing that. I was using that job as like my, it wasn't like a side hustle. I was doing it for 8 to 10 hours a day.
Yeah, well, during the pandemic, I was doing the same thing. You get up, you walk around, you get back in the car, and doing the same thing. Yeah,
right. And especially in the winter, you know what I mean. So because then you get out into the cold, and then you're getting into the heat, and then you're out in the cold, and the next thing you know, man, it just seized up. I went to go get out of the car, and I froze, and I was a done deal. Yeah. Luckily, I was able to go to a chiropractor first, and they had a deal where. For $80, they could do like an x-ray. So they did an x-ray and they said, the x-ray doesn't look good, but we can't really see much from an x-ray. You need an MRI. So I didn't have insurance or nothing like that, but he had a hookup at this MRI place. So I went and got an MRI and went back to him, and he goes, dude, you need to go see a surgeon. He goes, I'm not even I don't even want to touch you. He actually tried to adjust me. I couldn't get on the table. I couldn't like lift myself. I couldn't put one leg up to get on the table to lay down flat. So spinal stenosis is a very serious thing without having the kind of money that these guys have to have the stem cell stuff done and to have major disc surgery and everything else like that. The smartest thing that I could do is just keep my what I do physically. I'm still able to work out, but I got to be real careful. You know what I mean? Like there's no more squatting for me. There's no deadlifting. I work out kind of like the way you see them older guys working out, mostly machines, mostly working out like with intensity, not necessarily like weight, you know what I mean? But doing a lot of drop sets and supersets and things like that, rather than piling on a whole lot of weight because, one wrong move, one wrong bent. I mean, dude, there's times I'll be walking my dog and I go to pick up the dog shit and I stand back up and I feel it run down the back of my legs. And it's like, whoa, I stood up too fast. I got to, be conscious of what I'm doing.
But maybe you never know. You need to come to Atlanta, Georgia and do Diamond Dallas Page yoga, DDP yoga, the Performance Center.
That is one of my things on my bucket list. I would love to go and actually be at the Performance Center and do some DDP yoga with him and Paige. And I did actually start to do it when my back first went out. My friend actually ordered up the DVDs for me, because this was going way back. This was back before the pandemic. This was going back. I forget
when it was YRG DDP yoga, I believe, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this was like in the very beginning, and I was doing it. I was doing it at home, and the first DVD is called Rebuild, and it's actually you do it in your bed, and that was the only one that I could do because I couldn't do the one in the chair. When I thought that I was ready, and I did the one in the chair, that was like the hardest thing. Me sitting down, because then there's compression. So me in a seated position was worse than me. Even the standing ones was easier than doing the seated ones, believe it or not.
Yeah.
That yoga, the DDPY, man, there's a reason why it has saved so many people.
Definitely, for sure. C-Dub.
Yeah. I got a question. You ever find yourself wanting to don the madness? There it is, the madness, Macho Man. Get up,
brother. You got to get on my social media, man. You got to see. There's not a Mach version that I don't portray. That's the thing, man.
I was trying to find you. I kept finding so many different versions. I could never find one that looked like it was active.
There are one I remember you did the NWO Macho Man a T-shirt where you remember there was a T-shirt that he used to wear where he was holding like a bar or something, and
yeah, it's this one. Yeah, it's in this package.
It's him behind bars,
behind the bars,
in the jail, looking crazy. He's got no glasses on, and he's like the madness in the eyes. That I have that shirt.
Yeah,
I have the I have an NWO shirt with the sleeves cut off. I have another one that says the madness. I mean I take it very serious, man. So I think the only one that I don't have, the only one that I can't portray because I don't have any of the stuff is the red and black NWO. It's the only, and you can't find it nowhere because it's rare now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, if you ever have me on again, man, I'll show you a different version. I mean, I got the cowboy hats and the fringe, and I got the Mach 2000 look, with the earrings and slick back hair. I'm actually letting my hair grow out just for doing this character, and believe me, like my hair looks worse than his does.
And again, I'm glad you pointed out about the hair. So there's a picture that I saw on social media you posted. Randy, when he was like around 40s and 50s, he looked different, especially when he made the appearance in NWA TNA back in 2003. You even came up with pretty much same hairstyle. I think you shaved the forehead.
No, I just have a really big forehead, and and my hair is receding and it's thin. So it just happens that if I let my hair grow out long and slick it back and dye it jet black, I pull off that look very well. And then
it was unbelievable,
this right here's a wig.
It was insane because I was like, this is crazy because this is like once in a million. Only one person can pull this out. Like, even though you kind of like did the same thing. Like it's like Macho Man is alive, and how he was old, it was the same thing. And I'm pretty much sure, like, remember he did that 2K11, 2K12 commercial for WWE?
Right.
I'm sure someday at some point of time, you definitely can pull that out too.
You know what? There are pictures. If you go through my Facebook all the way, I don't know where they are. I'd have to, dig them up myself. But if I don't dye my beard is white. Just so you know, I ain't no young man. But, this takes a lot of maintenance to be able to do this Mach character. As a matter of fact, I dyed my beard earlier this afternoon because I was going to be coming on here and it was too much gray. I got to do it pretty often. But what I did was I didn't dye it, and I actually added a little bit of white to it. And then I took some pictures and with the sunglasses and the backwards hat. And if you go through my Facebook, through my pictures and stuff like that, you'll find every single version that you could ever imagine, including that one.
Yeah. See that.
Yeah, what's the craziest story you got as far as something that's happened while you're out paying tribute to Macho Man?
Crazy stories. Oh man.
Anything you can think of, let's say a fan's request, or maybe some drunk dude challenge you for a fight, or a female fan,
I wish there was a crazy Elizabeth out there somewhere that just like attacked me.
I wish I had a story brother.
Yeah, I'd be all for that. I guess when people don't really know, like Randy Savage, they don't know that he passed away, and people have like asked me if I'm really him. And I'm like, dude, even if he was still alive, he wouldn't look like this because this is him when he was in his 30s. This is him in the 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've gotten that before where people are like, are you the real Macho Man Randy Savage? And of course I got to have fun with them and be like, of course I am.
Yeah, there's a lot of fans that they stopped watching wrestling for so long, and even though when I was doing Lyft and Uber, I had passengers, and we had conversations. So where they asked me like, "Wait a minute, Randy, he passed away? When did that happen?" And I was like, "Oh, dude, that's like a long time ago."
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of people still think that he's alive, and again, kudos to you for making that more believable out there.
It's just funny that, it's like, even if he was alive though, you know what I mean? It's like the years still went by. He didn't like stop aging. You know what I mean? Like, imagine that. Like, if he was still alive and he still looked like this, that'd be a pretty neat trick. Although,
like Michael Jackson looked the same at the age of 50, yeah, and Jimmy Hart.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart seems to be able to not age. I mean, he's recognizable. I'm sure that if he didn't maintain that look, you know what I mean? Doing his hair the same way and whatever, you know what I mean? And letting the gray come out or whatever, I'm sure that he could be unrecognizable. Some guys, you've seen them and it's like, wow, I saw a picture of Honky Tonk Man with all gray hair, long gray hair. And I was like, that's not him. Wow. But some people, Hogan still looks the same. And, basically, you know what I mean? If he got rid of the mustache and shaved his head off, the mullet, the skullet completely, you know what I mean? Then, but I guess when you're that big of an icon, you have to kind of like maintain that appearance, that look, Jimmy Hart will always look like Jimmy Hart.
If you remember,
have you ever went down to the beach house to run into Hulk Hogan?
I'm sorry, you guys were both at the same time.
Sorry. Have you ever went to the beach house and ran into Hulk Hogan?
Not yet. I'm planning to make a visit. I'm actually planning on moving to Florida as soon as I could get all my ducks in a row here and kind of, make an easier transition. I don't want to be out here in Vegas because, believe it or not, Vegas is not as good. There's a lot more conventions and a lot more stuff in Florida and in Georgia and in those areas. There's a lot more wrestling conventions. Nothing really comes to Vegas too much.
Yeah, very, very less wrestling promotions and shows in Vegas. There's not much going on. I believe FSW and Sin Bodhi's promotion is there.
Right.
Apart from that, there's nothing much going on. My question was talking about Hulk Hogan's mustache. Do you remember the WCW time period where he was heel and he didn't have the mustache for a couple months, I believe?
Right. Yeah, it was weird, right?
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was like, wait a minute, I know that guy, I know that face, but who is that? Without the mustache, it really throws you off. Imagine Randy without the beard. You'd be like, imagine if he came back in 1999 when he came back with that new look and all. Imagine if he came back and he didn't have the beard. It would be like a completely different person. But, it was him. It was a completely different look. But of course, it was still him. There's things.
Yeah.
If he would have shaved the beard, it wouldn't have been Macho Man anymore. You know what I mean? That's like,
oh yeah, from ICW to Memphis Wrestling, he was pretty much the same, except changing the tights to pants, pretty much. But he was always in the character. Now, tell me, how was your interaction with Diamond Dallas Page?
Well, I guess he's a fan of Mach because when I ran into him, as a matter of fact, going back further than that, me and Diamond Dallas Page actually did a movie together. We did a movie. I was living in LA and he was there was a movie called, and I don't even know if it ever made it to DVD or whatever, but it was with Frankie Muniz.
Yeah.
And it was called Pizza Man. And Diamond Dallas Page was the heel in the movie. He was like the bad guy, and I was one of his henchmen. So I actually got to work very closely with Diamond Dallas Page, and we had lots of conversations about Randy Savage. And this is when this is before DDPY. This is when he was first talking about, I remember we were in his trailer, and he was talking to me about, hey, I'm starting up this, it was called Yoga for Real Guys or something like that it was called. And before it was DDPY. And the whole with this ain't your mama's yoga and stuff like
your
that.
mama's yoga monkeys.
Yeah. But so I knew him I knew him from back then, and I had to remind him, hey, it's me, it's the same guy. You know what I mean? And but he also had a big part to do with. I won tickets to AEW's first big show out here, the Double or Nothing, and I won the tickets because of a costume contest. So I show up as Mach, and one of the judges was Diamond Dallas Page. So he loved it. Mark Henry was another judge, and I knew Mark Henry from OVW. So it was kind of like I kind of had an in, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, I know all the judges, you know?
Yeah.
But most recent, I saw Diamond Dallas Page at, I guess was it last year?
The WrestleMania weekend in Texas? Was that?
No, it was in Florida. It was in Jacksonville, Florida.
River City Con.
What was it? Yeah.
River City Con. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Diamond Dallas Page, you know, he walks in.
I think Bret Hart was there too.
Yeah, he was there doing. He was like one of the main signings. Yeah. But Diamond Dallas Page walks up to me and he goes, Mach. So he knows me. You know what I mean? It's like people are familiar with who Macho Man is. And after hearing your story, I was like, wow, okay, man, a lot of people know who Mach is. So, yeah, and I think the Diamond Dallas Page is a fan.
Anyone in this business that you wanted to meet and haven't got a chance to meet yet?
Not really, because, you know, like I've met so many people, and the first thing that I was taught when I first became a wrestler is like, now you're a wrestler, you are no longer a fan.
Yeah,
you're not a mark. You know, you don't mark out, you don't ask for autographs, you don't take pictures. I have no pictures with wrestlers. All the people that I've met, I've never asked one wrestler for a picture with them. It was a little bit different when I started in 90. My first match was 98. Sorry about that. I knew that was going to happen. They were being too good for too long. But you know, I've met so many people that this I could tell you. This would be a little interesting thing because you probably wouldn't even think to ask this question, or maybe you did have it on your list of questions. But for the most part, most anybody who meets me, you know what I mean, appreciates what I do, because I'm not making a mockery of Randy. I'm doing it very professional and very spot on, and I take it very serious. And I'm way too detail oriented. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, well, if Randy didn't wear this color bandana with this outfit, I'm not going to wear it. You know what I mean? Like,
very detail oriented person,
right? Yeah. Like right now, I should have my bandanas on my wrists, and I don't. So I'm not. You know what I mean? It's like things like that. But there's two people, and I mean, you know, guys like Diamond Dallas Page, they love it, and Lanny loves it. You know, a lot of Mark Henry loved it. I mean, there's just about everybody. Wardlow, he saw me and asked me if he could take a picture with me because he thought it was so awesome. You know what I mean? There's two guys that always give me a dirty look and never have any interest in shaking my hand or like, I can just tell they're not very big fans of what I'm doing, or they just think that I'm some mark, and they, you know, and they just not big fans of it. And those two names, and I could be wrong, so I'm going to mention their names right now. If they happen to hear this, I don't know, man. Let me know in person when you see me.
Name of the podcast is Shoot and Stiff Wrestling Podcast. So go ahead, brother.
All right. Well, here's the deal. I think that Kevin Nash and Billy Gunn are two guys that whenever I do see them, and I try to be polite, try to shake their hand, and try to be, you know, whenever they do see me at any of these conventions, they kind of give me the, you know, like, you know, when somebody's just not interested, you know what I mean? And I'm always polite. I'm always, you know, professional. Maybe if they knew that I was a wrestler at one time, I think that they just think that I'm some kind of like mark-ass cosplay guy, you know?
Or maybe it's the low blow, man, 1999, you know, you...
What's that?
Maybe that low blow in 1999 that cost Kevin Nash the world title match.
Right. Yeah. Maybe he's still a little bitter. Hey, it wasn't me. It was Gorgeous George. I had nothing to do with it. You know what I mean?
Billy
Can't
Gunn
blame me.
and man, again, Billy Gunn is someone like he was always on the scene, and I met him when I was in AEW. It was kind of like okay, cool, decent, and I believe he's trains guys here in McDonough at a wrestling school. But yeah, I get it, man. Like because the thing is, brother, you portray fantastic, like great. It's kind of like a poetry that you are. Lanny said the best on your podcast. He was saying one of the poetry, and he said it. You are the living poetry tribute to the late great Randy Savage, the Macho Man. And so some people cannot digest. Hey, like I said, I can't say anything bad or anything about Kevin because I'm sorry for his loss and what he's going through. But some people can't accept it.
You know what? And maybe that's just my take on it. I don't know. Maybe if they heard this and they saw me and they might be like, dude, I think what you do is great. It could be their demeanor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know. I never, it's just the way that I saw him interact with other people. And then I saw how he interacted with me,
maybe in Billy's case, brother, maybe in Billy's case, you are more over than he ever was. Maybe that's what it is.
I don't know. I got to tell you this, man. Hey, man, if Billy is watching this and he's getting mad, let me throw this compliment your way. That man, at almost 60 years old, I cannot believe that he looks better than anybody that I've seen. Getting older, anybody. I mean, that whole. If he would have been at that DX reunion, he would have made everybody look so bad because he looks incredible. Yeah. Sean don't look like Sean no more. And Hunter, I mean, he's wearing a suit, but he's not built the same way as he used to be. You know what I mean? Yeah. But Billy Gunn is built better than he ever was. I mean, his skin is paper thin. And I mean, when you see that guy, it's, people could say, oh, well, it's this, it's that. Yeah, it is this and that. But he also carries luggage around with food in it. The guy doesn't leave anywhere. He doesn't leave his house. He has his meals prepped and ready every day, every hour of the day. He is on schedule with his dieting like a bodybuilder. Yeah. And that's why he looks the way he does. Incredible.
Oh yeah, definitely. He looks like $1 million. C-Dub.
Yeah. Speaking of food, on average, how many Slim Jims do you think you eat a day?
Man, well, if the Slim Jim people are watching, I eat them all day, every day. If they're not watching, I'm not a huge fan. Not a huge fan. If somebody put one in front of me, and I have one back there with the rest of my stuff kind of as a prop, you know what I mean?
We can see it. Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah. But, I don't really eat them, man. I try to snack on things like, I don't know, my preferred snack would be like, I like cashew nuts and I like carrots. So if I'm going to snack, that's going to be my snack. There you go. You learn a little something about Mach and his snacking habits. That's when I'm being good. When I'm not being good, it's like a whole bag of Twix. I have a Twix addiction. So I'm going to go out on a level. What's that?
I got to do at Fan Access WrestleMania 27. They had a Slim Jim like set up or whatever. They had a foam pit and you jump off into the foam pit and stuff. And guy there, he was doing the hosting it. I got his connections or whatever. He started sending me free stuff for a little while there. Yeah, one year I got a book bag, a hat, a shirt, a stocking full of Slim Jims. I was like, man, I thought I had an end, but then it stopped sending it. I was like, man. Yeah, but yeah, I still got the book bag. It's pretty cool though.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind, not big on the actual Slim Jims, but if they send me some hats and some stuff like that, I'd definitely wear it, kind of like in character, not in character. Like I've gone out before with the wig on and just like a baseball cap, no glasses, just to see if people would like say, hey man, you look like Randy Savage. And I'll get it even when I'm not in character whatsoever. And that's like mind boggling because I don't think that I look like him when I'm not in character, like me and him don't look the same. If I took all this off right now, I don't think that there's a resemblance between me and Randy Savage, or me and Randy Poffo, the guy, you know. But I've had people say to me, man, hey, you know, like I'll be wearing, you know, my eyeglasses, my regular glasses, and a bandana or something, you know, because that's usually the way I go to the gym, is I wear a bandana. That's just like, you know, that's just my gym attire. But I wanted to see what would happen with like just the baseball cap and the wig, you know what I mean? And I would, and my eyeglasses. So I just look like some hippie guy with a, you know, with long hair and a baseball cap. And still people were like, dude, you look like Randy Savage. So even when I'm not in character, I'm still in character.
There's only one video up there of Randy Savage without, hey, you know, brother, without doing that. It's the interview was taken in 2000, and he was kind of like buff on a red T-shirt where he was talking about WWF, The Rock, and everybody. And you have to be,
Even in that video, he was still doing the voice, because I've heard his voice very, very different. I think I've actually heard his real speaking voice, and it's not, you know, he doesn't sound like Mike Tyson by any means. You know what I mean? But he does rasp it up a bit. And there was one where he was, I posted it not too long ago, actually. It's an old interview of him when he was wrestling, when he was the ICW champion. And he was, it was in 1981, I believe. He was like 29 years old, and he's not in character. Go onto my Facebook and scroll down a bit, and you'll see, because I took it off of YouTube. I found it and I put it up there, and you don't really hear any of the, you know, it's, his voice is very, I mean, he's got a deep voice, but it's not, you know, it kind of sounds like the way that I'm talking right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not, you know, it's not exaggerated. So I've heard many different versions of his voice. And believe me, because I'm such a perfectionist, and because I try to do this with such detail, that I try to do, like right now, I'm kind of like, I'm using my voice and kind of embellishing it a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like lost. I'm almost like not in character right now. You know what I mean? But if I wanted to do it, I get all into it. You know what I'm saying right there? Yeah, I'm looking right into the video scope. Yeah, I am. See? But I've also kind of perfected his like regular speaking voice as well. You know what I mean? As much as I can. I'm just a little bit too,
Randy Savage was like a once in a million athlete. Like, you know, there's no one else with that charisma. That's for sure. And it just paying that tribute is, it's not a lot of people can do what you're doing right now too. Like, you know, being that gimmick, being that character, promoting yourself and going to these Comic Cons and venues and meeting fans and taking pictures. And it's not easy. It's like, because you being a wrestler, you were a wrestler and you came through that route. So my question is, I know you earlier said that you don't really watch wrestling anymore. But you keep up with what's going on, right? Or no?
Somewhat. You know what I mean? It's like, if I'm on social media and something sounds interesting, you know, I see an article and it mentions somebody's name or, you know, something, and it you know, and I might have an interest in it, then I might read it. But for the most part, I don't really know too much about what's going on unless it's really like big news. Like, of course, you know, Bray Wyatt coming back was like huge news, and, you know, Triple H running WWE now, and Vince being retired, and all those things, of course, you know, you know about. There's not like, what do you mean Vince retired? You know, like you know certain things, but I mean, if you were to name 5 guys, you could probably name 5 to 10 guys that I never even heard of, because I don't pay that close attention to it.
Yeah, it's crazy, because back in 2005 or 6, they had a storyline where DX were taking over WWE, and here we are, Shawn Michaels and Triple H took over WWE pretty much.
I know, you know, I remember when they announced that Triple H was pretty much, you know, taking over as far as like, you know, pretty much everything, you know, that he was going to be the head honcho, and then I see that Road Dogg is, you know, employed, and I see that that Shawn Michaels is employed. And I'm like, man, like, I mean, if they give X-Pac a job, which I'm sure they will, they'll find something for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They'll make him a trainer. What's that?
He goes down to the performance center every now and then.
Yeah, I mean,
guest coach and stuff.
There's no reason why they shouldn't make him a full-time coach. I mean, he's you know, one of my favorite matches, one of the best matches I've ever seen was 1, 2, 3 Kid versus Bret Hart on an episode of Monday Night Raw back in
93.
90 was it? Yeah, 93. Yeah. It was like
and,
right when Raw
Mr.
first-
Mr. Phil Brooks recreated that match in AEW with Darby Allin.
Right. With the win, you know, but the foot was on the ropes and the
lock takeover, key launch, reversal, yeah. But the original was always great. Like, you know, whenever you try to duplicate something, it's different, unless you have to be that perfection. CW, you have anything else?
I think you should hold a talent search to find your Miss Elizabeth.
You know what, man? I've heard that so many times, and I'm going to agree with you. I've actually done it. I've actually, you know, I've put it out there on social media, but nobody takes it serious. You know what I mean? I would love to actually to do that and to find like a real, like it would just be like the perfect love story. Is that I like, you know, I do it as like a gimmick, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to find this Elizabeth, and I find someone that looks like her, but turns out that she's really a huge fan of wrestling and a fan of Randy Savage. And we get to know each other, and, you know, and we actually end up like together, you know, cause I'm single, you know what I mean? And just imagine that. Imagine, you know, like I would love to find my real life Elizabeth.
Well, we never know, because we have fans from all over the world: Germany, Italy, France, America, Canada. And so to the listeners and viewers from all over the world, where they can support you, where they can reach out to you on social media.
Well, being that I'm not a social media guy, and right now things are kind of scrambled because I had like one TikTok, and then I like shut that one down, and then like I started up a new one. Probably the best way is just to type in. If you type in my name and you spell it correctly, my social media will come up. Everything, you know, videos will come up. Just remember, it's MOTCHO MANN. So it's Motch as the first name, O is the middle initial, and then Mann with 2 N's. Until I get everything like in order where I could tell you exactly, like, you know, I mean, for the most part, that's how you'll find me on social media. If you put in like @macho.man, you'll find my Instagram. I just, you know, I'm not as active on social media as I should be, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing, you know? So
CW is the master of social media. He can definitely help you out.
Oh, really?
I dabble. I'm trying to get up there.
I wish that I had your talent. You know what I mean? When people are really good at something like that, I look at that as being the real talent, because I could have this talent, but nobody will ever see it if I'm in my apartment. You know what I mean? I might have to hit you up and start bugging you, man. Because I actually do have somebody that's I have a branding company that I started working with, that, you know, we're doing stuff together, but a lot of the times they're explaining things to me, and it's like they might as well be speaking in Japanese, because, you know, they're speaking a language that they know. You know what I mean? With social media. And it's just and until I get the hang of the social media thing, if I was as good at social media as I am with what I'm doing, you know, with the talent side of it, I'd be worldwide known. You know what I mean? I don't know how to promote myself as.
But brother, people who actually know worldwide, they are talking about you.
That's awesome, man. I do know that I do have some fans on Facebook and stuff that live in Germany and in Austria and Australia and Ireland. And so I know that I'm known outside of this country, which is pretty damn, like, it's amazing to me. But I wanted to get to the point where people hear that name Macho Man and they think like, you know, like they know who I am. You know what I mean? Like, it's like people are just mind boggled by the impression, and that everybody knows this guy. When you think about Randy Savage, you think about Macho Man, and vice versa, you know?
Even one time, of course, I will let you go after this. Paul White, I was talking to Paul, and he was talking about, like, you know, how much dedication you needed as a wrestler, how much you need to invest, and he even mentioned your name.
Really?
By doing this, yeah. You know, he's not even in the ring, but you know, you got to do that. You know, I don't know his name, but he's doing that Macho Man gimmick really well.
Wow.
That's what he said. This is like last year, 2021.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's unbelievable to me that, like, you know, if you walk into a WWE locker room, it sounds like people would know who I am. I know, like,
I don't know about the college
remember,
athletes, brother.
What's that?
I don't know about the college athletes, but wrestlers, yes, definitely, yes.
Right. Well, you know, it's almost like there's probably more people that know me than people that don't know me, and it's just crazy because, like, you know, when you don't know. Social media is so huge that I don't know who knows me. You know what I mean? Like, you mentioned that Paul White knows who I am. You know what I mean? That's like, I didn't know what he knows. I never met him as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it makes me feel a lot more comfortable that I am known, so I don't have to. You know, whenever I do walk into a place, sometimes I do feel a little bit like, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? Are they going to think that I'm just some goof? You know, but that actually helps me. It helps my confidence a lot, knowing that people are putting me over that are big names. You know, I mean, I know Hulk Hogan
because
knows.
you came from the business, and again, I was about to ask you, like, you know, of course, Hulk Hogan even knows about you, right?
Yeah, he knows about me because I've spoken to somebody who knows him, and, you know, he showed him my stuff, and he's like, wow, that's pretty good. So I'm going to pay Hogan a visit when I do take that trip to Florida. That's definitely on my list of places to go, is the beach shop, and try to catch him while he's there and get that interaction on camera.
There's a Hogan impersonator around here where I live at. I ran into him at Walmart, and he has a bat. And how I know it's him versus another one is he has a Batman symbol tattoo on his arm. But I was like, man, but yeah, he actually, I think, ended up down there in Florida, and Hogan was driving by and saw him while he was talking on the phone with his old lady, his girlfriend, and then got him on video or whatever, talking to her. He's like, you know, I saw your old man out here or whatever. So that was pretty cool.
It wasn't Randy Hogan, was it?
No, not Randy Hogan. No, Randy Hogan doesn't have the this guy's a little bit taller and probably a little bit younger.
Okay. Yeah, I see. There's probably a lot of impersonators, you know, that I mean, who knows? You know, there's probably a lot of impersonators that we don't know, that we haven't seen. You know what I mean? I'd love to see them all. I'd love to see a whole roster of lookalikes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I had a question. I was wondering, they should do like one of them flash mob things where a bunch of Macho Man tribute artists or whatever get together and do like a flash mob while all dressed up as Macho Man.
Yeah, how would we do that?
Yeah. I don't know.
Some through social media, I believe, like, you know, social media can connect a lot of people.
I know.
Just create a page.
There we are.
You definitely.
There's that social media thing again. You know what I mean? If I was an expert at social media, man, believe me, I'd be famous. I'd be real fame. You know, really, really, you know, famous. Not just, you know, internet famous, but I mean, I'd be like, I'd be on talk shows and, you know, national TV, and, you know, all it's going to take, man, and it will happen, is somebody is going to be doing a project on Randy Savage. They're going to be doing a biopic. They're going to be doing, you know, a documentary done the right way, because every documentary that's ever been done on him, like with the biography that A&E did, and they just botched the shit out of him and made him sound real bad. And, something is going to be done, and it's going to be done right. And they're going to ask me to do it. And that's going to put me exactly where I need to be. That's going to change my life.
That takes me to the last question of this podcast. And that is, you did not just woke up from a bed and decided, oh, I'm going to be a Randy Savage impersonator. No, you did everything by the book. You went to a wrestling school. You wanted to be a pro wrestler. You wrestle, you bust your ass. What is your advice to the current or young talents out there looking at the products right now? I know you don't really watch a lot, but kind of like, what's going on, what's the style they do now these days, right? That Canadian destroyer back and forth, all kind of Jackie Chan stunts. But anyway, looking at these companies and shows, and as a wrestler or past tense, actually, you used to be a wrestler. So what is your advice to the wrestlers out there looking to get into this business or trying to get signed to a company?
Well, I mean, first of all, man, you want it to happen. You want to get signed by one of the big companies, and you don't want your career to end before it starts. You gotta, we've all heard the expression, there's you only have so many bumps on your bump card, and these guys are using their fucking bumps up real quick, and for no reason. They're doing such dumb shit for no reason. And there's, just try to get as much out of your career as you can. Don't do 100 crazy ass, bumps and risk ending up where you can't even have another match. Be safe, be smart, learn from people like Rip Rogers, man. If you're not going to a school and you're learning just from what you're seeing on TV, you're already doing yourself a disservice. There's a lot of schools out there that there's a lot of schools out there that suck and that'll just take your money, but there's also a lot out there with reputable names. Find the ones with some reputable names attached to it, and learn from those that know professional wrestling. Just be smart and be safe, and probably most of all, whether it's wrestling or it's anything, be sure that whatever it is, I don't care if it's sports or if it's
cosplay,
anything, flower arrangements, whatever. Be the best at it that you could be, and find a way to monetize it. My advice to anybody: find your passion, perfect that passion, and find ways to monetize it. And with social media today, there's people on social media making millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing, calling themselves an influencer, and all they're really doing is just being themselves and showing you something that they have a passion for.
CW, would you like to add anything?
Nah, man, I don't. I totally agree. You got a passion. If you can monetize it, the more the merrier. That's what I'll be trying to do. I'm always making random videos. I'm trying to get my way to getting it monetized. I know exactly
and
where
you
you're
will
coming from with that.
You will, because you know what you're doing with that social media stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
he's an expert, brother.
Yeah, well, that's going to take you far, man. I'm telling you, like, that'll take you further than, what I do. This is a skill. It's a talent. It's a gift, whatever you want to call it. I've been able to do this impression since I was a little kid. I'm able to do a lot of impressions. I don't know if you saw some of my videos, but I'm like, I've done stand-up comedy. I do a lot of impressions. If I watch something on TV or listen to something enough, I'll get good at it. You know what I mean? But when it comes to stuff like social media, it doesn't work that way with me. So I have my gift that I've been blessed with. And unfortunately, social media isn't my gift. But if social media is your gift and you know how to get something out there and you know how to reach millions and millions of people, dude, you're in the driver's seat, brother. You know what I mean?
See, that will be your social media coach for sure.
Well, I might have to hit you up, brother, because maybe me and you could kind of put some ideas together. You know what I mean? With your skills and my skills, we combine that and maybe we could make something serious happen. You know, I think we'll be in touch.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be nice.
So thank you so much, my brother, for doing this, taking this time and such a short notice. And at the same time, thank you so much for doing this podcast, your time, your valuable, precious time, and giving us one of the best podcasts ever so far. And this will be on an audio platform too. So people from all over the world, around the world, from anywhere, they can access this from iHeartRadio, Anchor FM, Podcast One, Google Play, and Spotify. There's so many audio platforms are available, so they can listen this audio. And the video platform is on YouTube. Go to Shoot and Stiff Wrestling Podcast. Look for episode 7. You will get an opportunity to watch this amazing tribute episode for Randy the Macho Man Savage by Macho Man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, brother. I greatly appreciate it.
I will be in touch with you guys, man. I think that maybe we put our heads together. We might be able to come up with something valuable.
Absolutely.